Hey. Oh. Music. Happy Heart Hour. Season 8. Precious Mother Love. One Love and Wellness. We heading south on the Beltway again. About to head that way now. Hey, hey, hey. Precious Mother Love in the house. Well, outside. So, I want to talk about some stuff that I have tried 3 times. Third time's the charm, right? 3 times I've tried to speak and say something in reference to this space race. And each time, and my volume is all the way up, each time it seemed like, let's see, so I got some more music. These are my songs. As a matter of fact, I own the rights to these songs. The brother from the same mother, the master musician, the beat conductor, the author, producer of this song, and I hope it's not too loud, is Jelani, my brother from the same mother. He's got all kinds of good music that I would love to be able to share. Here's another one. I think this one is called Purple Days. And I'm sorry to delay my beginning because I want to make sure that I'm being heard. I'm hoping that somebody can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? My Love and Wellness family. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Again, Precious Mother Love, One Love and Wellness. Ashe. Love+Art equals wellness. This is our channel, and this is our podcast. Heart Happy Hour, Season 8. I'm going to turn the music off. So the space race, I'm sorry, the space chase and the earth race. Got a few things I want to say about it, but like I said, I've tried a couple of times. Let's hope that we get exhausted. We get to be able to pour it out this time. So Artemis 2, the crew has been back about a month now, and on I believe it's the 30th of April was when they were they were invited to the White House. Are you seeing me? I can't see me. They were invited to the White House. Hey, One Love and Wellness. Awesome. Hope you guys can hear me. And when they got to the White House, the president decided, he said something nice about them, like a paragraph worth of words. And immediately there was, the discussion turned immediately to Iran and Russia. And so I am not certain that we are paying attention to what's happening in our sky, as well as, like as above, so below. Hey, let's see if we can get this to be a little bit better angle. So as above, so below, because up in the sky, to a degree, seemingly so, we are conducting business and getting it done in unison as a group. NASA ends up being like a motherly figure, keeping folks on the right track, headed in the right direction, making sure that the schedules are appropriate. And, the schedules, the Artemis 2, Apollo, all of this country's launches, as well as all of the other countries' launches, the conditions that they have to adhere to or are preferring to adhere to include things like numerology, include things like astrology, cosmology. These are things that, countries like India, you might expect them to use these things on in reference to what's a good day for launch for them. But it is also being used by every other big old truck ahead of me carrying 3 trucks, speeding up and changing lanes. Okay, so our launches, all these launches, our country, their countries, all these countries, they're using similar yardsticks, and they are all orchestrating their part to the performance. The world's a stage. The whole world is a stage. This is hologram-ish, fractal-ish. Then we are definitely looking at, we need to look at what's going on above us, like we're looking at what's going on beneath us or around us or on the earthly realm. So I see the launches being named after, I won't say fairy tale, what do you call those things? It's not a fairy tale. Greek mythology. They're using names that are aligning with what their mission is set forth to do. Like for Japan, theirs is Moon Princess, and Moon Princess in their language, those are also Greek. Artemis means moon god or goddess, not because it's feminine. And she's the goddess over the youth, fertility, as well as guarding our youth. And so she rounds them up just before Easter, just around Easter, really just before Mother's Day. Mother's Day, the full moon, I believe it's in Scorpio. So Taurus and Scorpio are Scorpios, I won't say their dark side, but the energy of Scorpio is highlighting, like lighting a fire under us during this Taurus season. It's sending out, we're supposed to be, see, I'm getting all mixed up in because I'm trying to watch these big old trucks around me as I'm going by. We're supposed to be taking a look at the darker side of our Scorpion traits, our characteristics. We are all have some elements of these, the whole astrological spectrum in our charts. Even though we may have something rising, we have something that is our moon, and so on and so on. My moon is Leo. And so right now in the Taurus season, the bull in a china shop, it's going to make or break the scenario right now. Things are breaking ground. Things are breaking free. Things are breaking loose, busting up, the clots, the clutters. This is the time that we would be cleaning our houses, cleaning our closets, clearing out the clutter for whatever is hindering our path. Aries got us straight to the point. Pew, the archer, he hit the target. So, now we're making our way to that target because we decided what is like our New Year's resolutions, this being the spring, the first part of spring, which, by the way, Artemis launched on April 1st, April Fool's Day, the easily caught fish. If you are not paying attention to the cycle of nature, that is the only reason why you would be considered a fool. Yes, I might say it's April 1st, April Fool's Day, but I am not going to say it's anything other than it lines up with the beginning of the year. This is like the new season. January is the month of a lot of the cold weather. Now the ice has broken, now the ice has melted, now the seeds have been harboring long enough to begin the new life, to do the resurrection. The 1st of April was when the launch Artemis went up. It came down on Easter, the East Star, the Estre, And that launch being the longest shuttle, the longest space ride that we have as humans taken, with Victor, the black uh, astronaut, is his name is Victor. So aptly so, because now is our time. Now is the time for I was gonna say all good men, but now is the time for our good men to take their rightful places. Now, Big Mama's back in the house. You know, when the Russians brought her to the table, to the front line to motivate their troops, that was a sign that they were reverent to that black Madonna with the baby Jesus, or, you know, in the likeness of. It let us know that not only do they revere and you know, have some spiritual reverence for this black Madonna, it also is building the case that Big Mama's at the head of the table. You heard? So if that's the case, this Artemis launch, this Artemis space race or chase, it actually has significance. The infinity loop that they put into place, or, you know, etched in the sky or etched in the ethers, you know, when they launched that, it looks like a phallus. It is a super spiritual, a super powerful symbol. It is the symbol that is, you know, for so many eons, has been used as a super spirit. I say eons. I don't know how long. Long time, man. They have used that symbol, that male member, the phallus, the um, rocket looks just like it, you know. And when the Big Bang comes and it launches, you know, and that Big Bang, interestingly enough, you know, the 11 scientists, well, one was an administrative assistant, but the 11 scientists that have either come up missing or unalive is, you know, in line with, well, there was a new development. There was some new um, fuel, rocket fuel, that was lighter and takes less space and so on. That this Eckridge, the scientist, last name Eckridge, a female, you know, she's no longer, you know, she has been unalived. Oh gosh, am I going to be in traffic? That's amazing. Okay. Yeah, get here. Let's go, guys. Let's go, fellas. Let's keep it moving. Let's roll. So she developed something that was going to be considered a disruptive technology. It was going to be something that, you know, scientists should develop these new, adventure into these new designs and these new, what do they call them? Not just developments. It is disruptive technology, but, you know, all the different things that they are inventing. There we go, inventing. So inventions, you should not be discouraged from expanding with these newer technologies. But, you know, if it is considered disruptive, there might be, you know, there's billions of dollars of contracts in place. So yeah, Big Bang, it booms, it goes into the sky, you know, and then it separates into parts and pieces. And just like the male sperm would, you know, the tail comes off and it's just the pod. So it looks as though, and I know I've reversed this a bit, but that pod is like a seed pod. It is entering back into our, you know, once it returns, it returned on Easter. It enters back into our atmosphere and it catches on fire as soon as it comes through the atmosphere. It then phoenixes the energy. The seedlings are proven. They are never the same. That high heat, I don't know, is it 5,000 degree heat or something like that? Something of a mini sun. A mini sun is returning to this plane, and then it has a soft landing, it has a water landing, it lands in the water, and it then has a resurrection. So very, very apropos that it happened on Easter or Estre, as it is in other languages. It is definitely symbolic. They're doing a lot of this space chase thing symbolically. Now, even though we may have led that launch, even though we did take the lead on that, there's other countries they got a piece of they get a piece of the pie because the technology is not just from our country. One country does the communications, another country does the GPS, another country does, all the rover is done by one country, and even parts of those rovers are from other countries. In some cases, a lot of the pieces and the parts and the puzzles that they're putting together to put this shuttle or spaceship into launch or into orbit requires other countries. So we're all doing all these things together, and this takes me back to this. I'm thinking, can't we all get along, and that we're getting along in space? But some of these folks that are, excuse me, coming up missing, they're in relation to, like, the scientists that was developing the fuel. You know, they all have something to do with each other's um, progress. Sometimes these inventions require that you involve other pieces of other people's pie, or pieces of their niche, what their because this is just like an orchestra up in the sky, man. They're dancing to each other's tune. They all are naming their vessels in moon language, or Luna, and like I said, Artemis, which is moon goddess, but then Japan, which is moon princess, and they may be part of, like, I think China is it, yeah, China and Russia, or Japan and Russia. I swear to goodness, I had it straight a minute ago, but let me just say this: everybody is on each other's dance card. They're all doing a little jig together for the sake of the space race. Now, even though Apollo, we did put our flag, when we supposedly landed, then I don't know if it was for sure. I just know I heard something that one of these other um, reporters, when they were being interviewed, one of the space spokespeople was being interviewed. They slipped and said, this was the first time, and he alluded to that this was the first time that we had landed on the moon. So maybe they mixed up their words. Maybe I mistook what they said, but because this wasn't a landing, this was a looping. And that loop, in that infinity loop, as they etch it in the sky, that has significance as well. That's like us marking our territory, similar to planting that flagpole, which again, that was the male version of the launch. Now the feminine version of the launch, you've got, like I said, I mentioned Victor is the black man, the first man to be on a launch, a shuttle or a spaceship for that period of time, that distance. um, Christina she's the female, and Christina means daughter of Christ. That's another way of it falling into the fairy tale, or what did I call this? The orchestration itself. This is just another stage play, this performance that is being conducted in our skies as we are focused on things down here. Some of the things that's going on up there, we need to pay attention to as well. The gentleman who is the team lead, his name, I can't think of what it is. Well, let's just say it may say something like good man, or good work, or something like that. But he has a very aptly named last name. Now I know, and then we had an international fella from Canada that was there with us. I guess there are some times that we do go up in groups, with other countries. Our space stations are multi-country space stations. And from what I understand, there's some space Ubers going up that are taking some of these multi-country rides. You got a couple of folks hitching on to get to whether it's the space station or whatever it is that they're conducting. Because there's still launches going up to supply. If I'm not mistaken, I remember speaking to, I did an Uber one time, and I had a scientist that I was taking to one of the conferences at the Washington Convention Center. And I had a conversation with them. This was maybe about 3 years ago. And they had shared with me that, well, she said she worked on something. I don't want to get too specific in case she told me something she wasn't supposed to, but she said that there are multiple, I was going to say mobiles, vehicles on Mars. And, like Iran, I think if not, no, it's Dubai. Dubai is the country that is coming up with or providing the vehicles when they get to the moon. If I'm not mistaken, I say our countries, like all of these countries are my countries. This Earth's countries, they all have niches. They all have their little piece that they, they're instrumental or uh, that's and when we do go up, we go up together. Like I said, we might have taken the lead on the Artemis 2. And by the way, the Artemis 3, they've already almost completed that. It's going up, I believe, April in 2027. And so there is a regular schedule of these events. Every country, like I just recently, and I say recently, in the past couple of years, found out that Greenbelt, where I live near, in DC, where NASA is, there's apparently a launch pad there. There have been some launches. I did see Greenbelt on some of the past launches. So now, California has a couple of locations. Florida has a couple of locations. Apparently we have a location. There may be some others. I may not be recalling to memory. Wow, this traffic is like not moving very fast. And I got some things I got to do and get to. But anyway, I just wanted to share with you guys, as above, so below. We need to look to the heavens. They're playing out, in the heavens. They're naming these voyages with very mythological names. They are using, symbolism, sigils, and things like that. That infinity loop was a sigil. This was a signal. It was a letting those who were able to see, and I actually have been able to see some vehicles that I don't know if they were from here. I was over near Andrews Air Force Base. I was near, there's a couple of Air Force bases in the area. I think that's the one I was near. But let's just say, this is for entertainment purposes only. So it's entertaining for me to think that I was near where the president's plane is usually housed. And, ooh, that's a big old truck. Ooh, gotta be careful. Okay. So, one love and wellness family. I just had to see if I could get a little bit more of this information that was welling up in me to share, even though I might not have shared it in like the first 2 times I shared it. Ooh, bang, zoom. I was on it. I was telling you what the moon was in. I had my little notes at the time, but today I decided to go back to how I had been doing my first couple of seasons. Actually. What is that? Tire pressure? Okay. And that was an indication. So yeah, it's time to keep it moving. Thank you for hanging out with me for a bit. Thank you for listening to the music in the beginning. That was from my brother from the same mother. His name is JJ. And he has like 4 or 5 different names. Nat Love is one of his names. NATLOVE. Precious Mother Love. Heart Happy Hour. Season 8. Let's see if I can get any music to hang with me on the way out. Heart Happy Hour, Season 8. Precious Mother Love. Love plus art equals wellness. I say these things and they roll off my tongue, but brought to you by Love plus Art equals wellness. You're participating and listening to Heart Happy Hour Season 8. Like, subscribe, and share. I would like to be able to share more information. I'm going to find time to be able to sit down, pull my notes out, and share the real deal. Share my research, share my resources. Me doing this on the fly as I'm on the way on the highway, it does not seem to serve my purpose anymore. In the beginning, I sat down with my notes. In the beginning, I made myself research and I kept my resources, my bibliothèque, or what do you call that? My glossary, my appendix. I kept all of that. Oh my gosh, the word appendix. That just reminded me of the things that I used to talk about, and I might want to share a few words about those things because I have been doing research and deep diving into information that, so the appendix, I had forgotten that it was a part of what you have as a section of a book. I forgot that what its purpose was in my body. But in the body, it, along with your wisdom teeth, along with your, all those things they like to remove real quick on us, the appendix, the wisdom teeth, ooh, the foreskin, ooh, they try to talk us into, what do you call that? Shortchanging our fellas. We shortchanging them by not keeping that spiritual real estate is what I call it, because I believe that it gives men extra sensitivities and extra intuitiveness, extra being extra in touch with themselves. So as of now, I'm going to hold that subject for another time. I'll be a lot more specific and informed. I apologize that today was not the day to do the doggone thing as much as it was those other 2 days. Ooh, it was finger looking good. And you might even be able to see it right now. You see that the whole thing is no volume. It would be funny if this is no volume too, and I hope not. Can you hear me? One Love and Wellness. Hey, Mom. Oh, hey. Ashe, guys. I just want us to pay attention to these launches, to these space shuttles, to the fact that they have mythological names, that they are keeping the wraps on it. They're keeping it undercover. They're not giving us all the real deal. We getting none of the tea on what's going on up there, why we're doing what we're doing in the ways that we're doing it, and the fact that they're all done on special holy days. We launched on April 1st, April Fools, easily caught fish day, and we came back, they came back to Artemis 2 on Easter. You can't tell me you don't think there's some symbolism to that. They had Victor, Christina, the guy from Canada, the international guy, and the head chief guy. All their names mean something. All the numbers and letters used in the names of these vessels. I mean, the day that it launched, the numbers, the totals, what was going on in the sky. We got 6, 7 planets. Last month was 6, I think it's 7 planets this month. They all coming home for Mother's Day. And, we got a parade of planets. Every year I tell you over and over again, these are little indications. These are really big indications that we don't take as I begin to now more so than ever, but it's not taking it seriously. The cosmology of the day and the time of the deity, to now. Ta-da! To now. These are things that we should be paying attention to. Just as much as we're being distracted from, with these other things, just as much as they're telling us about these other distractions. Ooh, I wish we could get as much information, even if it, because the AI piece of it, let's say this, that stage play at that dinner, the media dinner, all those media people there, and so the angles that they got, a lot of them I see as revised versions of some of reality at that point. But if that was a scientist, that scientist, now either he was a robo sci-fi dude and he was led into doing these things robotically, I can't imagine that a scientist of sound, mind, and body would come in with some antiquated artillery. Ooh, that just irks me for somebody to say that he's got this and that of such a low level, like all entry level kinds of devices. Nothing that required, like oh man, whatever. Here's to hoping that we are going to hear the truth at some point about more and more of what's going on in our faces. If we're able to find out more of the truth, if we're able to not allow, the military, it's not a military takeover, the martial law. He came over the same time I did. The martial law, the martial part of it, it's definitely a step-by-step thing. I told someone the other day that our streets in DC, over the last 10 years, I've seen how they have been revising the routes. The same way the Corps of Engineers reroutes the water, they're revising the traffic. They're raising the curbs, and the materials that they're using. Like I was riding with someone and they hit the tire on the curb and the tire burst. So, I don't imagine that, and it was one of those brand new curbs. So I'm imagining that it's got a heck of a corner on it. That edge, that point, that tip, that vortex. Yeah. And so I'm seeing that they're revising our comings and goings. They're limiting the space, what was in a lot of cases, a lot of places where it was like 2, 3, and 4 is down to now, 1, 2, and 3 lanes. They've reduced the flow so that it won't be as many folks able to access. These are main thoroughfares that I'm seeing. They're putting in, and they're talking about it's for the purpose of bikes, or they couple it with the bike, what's needed for them to create the bike lanes. But I'm multi-purpose. This is the thing, multi-dimensions and multi-purposes. And oh, by the way, let me say something about some multi-dimensions real quick before I go, because I met someone years ago and I spoke of them, and I don't know if you're a long time viewer or subscriber, you might see that I spoke about someone named Charlie. And Charlie, his real name that he went by, Charlie was from another planet. And if he wasn't from another planet, he was from another dimension. So I'm thinking from another planet and another dimension, maybe so. Maybe I should think of that. I tried to say he was from another planet for a long time, and then I had to recognize, because we did go through walls like in Harry Potter, and because he did have a cloak that he eventually did drop, and I did actually see what was underneath, which was this big snarly black drizzly mouth, big teeth, very taller than his human appearance. He showed me that he dropped his veil, but because he went through other dimensions, and because and he took me in, I had two. There were three of us together at the same time, going and coming into and out of his. I think I want to go on this side because I'm gonna turn on. Yeah, I'm gonna go this way. Yeah, I don't want to go through the bumpy city. So yeah, like I said, I'm on 95. I'm heading south. I'm about to wrap up, but I did want to tell you a little bit more about me with the multi-dimensional beings, with the Harry Potter experiences about walking through walls, some multi-dimensional stuff. A little something to wet your whistle for the next time I come back with the fullness of that. I talked about it a couple years ago. Matter of fact, I did some Halloween stuff one season where I went through and talked about all of the unveilings and all of my experiences with the paranormal, as well as with the multi-terrestrial. I just put those together just now. So here's to hoping that you know what I mean. This multi-dimensional being, these beings that I have seen, and they look different. I think they might be from different planets, and as well, I think these people look. I don't know. I was getting ready to. Well, whatever the case is, I think that every country has covers a different planet. If you orange, purple, green, red, yellow, white, blue, I don't know if you would be from the same planet. I think the yellow has a planet, the green has a planet, the blue has a planet. I heard we were blue. I heard we were blue green. But the oxygen in our air changed us to now only the veins are the blue green. That's what I heard. I don't know. Could be true. What you think? One Love and Wellness family. Love plus art equals wellness. Thank you for hanging in there with me. We're about to head out and see what it do. Okay? Happy belated everything that I missed. And hope to see you the next time. Peace. Ooh. Peace.